Hello and welcome people to part of Exile 2. As many of you know, it's the new ARPG from Grinding Good Games. I initially wanted to start the video with positivity and picking on negative reviews, but as soon as I started playing melee, I backtracked. Hammering my boss with a broken rusty hammer is better than playing melee in PoE 2. I feel like I'm being constantly cooked having to play warrior or monk. At least monk has cool abilities that let you do more damage. The warrior's abilities are do cool spin in air, get hit multiple times, die. Very fun. I gave up on warrior in the first act, having to do the other two acts with that character. Nuh-uh man, the struggle ahead with the mercenary class. No thank you. I beat the whole game with the witch, because minions are the best and I don't have to do anything, besides having one enemy that likes to chase me down. But if I saw a big titty goth mummy walking around, I would go through the hordes of minions just to sniff her out. The game on a difficulty level is middle to kinda hard in the beginning. Endgame you have to dodge like you're John Wick, otherwise you're dead. There are 3 acts and after you beat them you have to do it again, but it's harder. Then you reach Endgame. Act 1, easiest of them all. Crowds are easy to exterminate, bosses feel easy, and it's not a bad way to introduce new players to the game. Except for that one area with the cultists. Fuck that area. And the last zone, I hate that area as well. Because of melee, I grew hatred. The last boss is Count Gelnor, and his fight is cool and he looks sick. But damn, I grew to hate him. The most hated thing about him is when he turns into a wolf and activates his attack where he disappears and you have to kill his minions, while he speaks to you and attacks you at the end of each phrase. The hardest thing is not dodging his attacks, it's maneuvering through his minions, being body blocked like him in a store at the Black Friday sale, and when the wave is over, even though you replenish flasks after killing enemies, no charges. With the Mercenary, Witch and Ranger, I killed him easy. With the Sorceress, I raged and I killed him with tears dropping down my face. With Warrior and Monk, I used the powerful spell called Out F4. Nuh-uh, I ain't dealing with that. I ain't saying they ain't fun to play, but they're not as good. The problem is the limitation of abilities you can do. You get gems that give you skills and support. The problem is you get more skills by unlocking gems of a hard level in higher level areas. Monk and more Warrior have skills that decrepit you more than aid you in combat. And the fact that you have to go and melee the boss, well he just hits you without stopping like he's on roids. Plus, I have 200 hours in the game and having to defeat the boss 5th time in a row and struggling with it, the fatigue kicks in. The gameplay is amazing with the number of ways you can play, which most of them are useless. It feels good to kill hordes of enemies and the passive skill tree is quite small. I mean, come on, only 1,000 points? Weak shit, Diablo 4 is way better, even though I've not played the game. The skills are small in number and the support skills are PoE 1 has a way better gem system and a vaster one. But let's not forget, PoE 2's gameplay is way different and the game is in early access. It has more content than 99% of AAA games. Let's not compare, Diablo 4 could never. That's why I wanted to pick on the negative reviews, because most of them were different gameplay than PoE 1. No shit bro, the developer said it was going to be different and the trailer showed it as well. It's the dumbest negative review. For what it is, it's a 9 out of 10 game. The fact that it's different from the first one shouldn't be a negative review. It's called experimentation and branching out, while keeping some of the old stuff. The game deserves 92% positive reviews on Steam, not 82. Anyways, enough ranting. Lachlan is the only example for now that a melee is better in the beginning than the ranged ones, because the man casts spells which are devastating for ranged classes, and if you go too far away he will stomp the ground and that can insta-kill you. With the melee you stay up close and most of the time he just melee attacks and you can kill him. That's the only positive. Before I go to Act 2, let me introduce the classes. For now the game has 6 classes, in early access by the way. My first one was the Mercenary, because come on, a crossbow that acts like a gun. I mean, I'm not an American, but that's fucking cool. You can definitely use a bow, but what are you, a loser? Go back to the forest and hunt some trees or animals. My favorite way to play him is using the shotgun skill combined with the gas grenade. It's not the most effective way to play, and I see BA putting the time to respect, but it's fun. Which is the best, and it's like you're playing easy mode. And I had the most fun with her, because I didn't have to break my desk and my arm trying to survive both the mobs and the bosses. You just have your minions do the work. I use the firewall as an elemental ability combined with the raging spirits, which spawns curse whenever you do a fire attack, and I sometimes use the spark ability. Because whenever a spark goes through the wall, it goes on fire and deals more damage. It's the case with most projectile spells, and it can be useful against crowds of enemies and even bosses. Ranger is the second easiest in my opinion. I defeated Act 1 in just an hour, and I had fun doing so, which made me wanna play her even more. I might like the crossbow, but with the bow you can have a quiver, which gives you the ability to have more buffs, and I quite hate that, because I'm cooking myself with playing only crossbow with the Mercenary. The sorceress, like the witch, is hot as fuck, let's be fair, and in terms of gameplay, for me, she didn't feel that good. I struggled a lot playing her, but maybe she's better endgame. The monk is fun to experiment with, combining abilities seems more fun and quite better than the other classes. Only problem is his melee. I mostly like his bow ability, but the problem is the skills he has in the beginning are quite meh. Warrior, I'm sorry, but damn he sucks. All his abilities at the moment of me playing suck massively, and the best way to deal damage is by using the club. I typically love melee in games, and in PoE 1 melee is fun, but here I might as well base my bows with high voltage. They need to rework him. Act 2, best act in the game, mainly because I'm surrounded by hot women. The leader of the Maraketh is a baddie. If I'm smashing her in the full release, I'ma give the game a bad score. Unlike the first act, where wherever you go, it's all depression, Act 2 feels way livelier and nicer, and the way you travel to other places is by a caravan which is moved by a bunch of slaves, while they preach to free people. Sounds like real life, huh? In the act you unlock the Trial of Sekhmet, where you have to complete a bunch of trials almost like a roguelike-ish system. You have honor which gets depleted the more damage you take. At the end of the trial, you fight the final boss who is not that hard to defeat. Whenever you finish the trial, you can unlock some chests with keys you find through the trials and get your first ascendancy points and choose your first ascendancy class. The class is what kind of style you would prefer to choose for your character. For the Mercenary, I chose the Gemlik Legionary, and for the Witch, the Infernalist. Look at the art style, by the way, it looks fucking sick. Ascendancy points are limited unlike the skill tree, so be careful choosing. The last boss of the act is Jamanra, and his boss battle, I'll be fair, is pretty sick. Until you reach the second phase, where it's projectile heaven, and my brain starts getting seizures every few seconds because I can't keep up with the number of projectiles on the screen. And why does every lord get manipulated by this one woman? I mean, she's hot, but come on guys, one is a literal cool-ass wolf swordsman and the other is a monsterish necromancer. Oh, and getting to the boss is pure pain in the ass. This is the worst area in the act. The last act is in a jungle where once the Great Vow lived, the act is a bit too long for my taste because it starts to feel a bit dragged out. But story-wise, it makes sense it's that long, and I would say it's the best part of the lore so far. The bosses are quite interesting, like the Queen of Filth and the big robot boss, and the priest guy in the temple. After you defeat the priest, you open a portal to the past, when the vow didn't get eradicated, and that part of the act is pure hatred for me, whenever I played Mercenary. But the last segment in the act where you're in the temple that looks futuristic, it's hell. It's horrible. I hate that place with passion. Even with the minion build, the enemies somehow managed to kill me. At least the boss was easy to kill with the minions, spamming firewall, poisonous arrows and raging spirits. There is a chaos temple which is the second part where you get another one of your ascendancy points. You need to complete trials which give you weapons and armor, but there is one trick. You need to pick difficulties after each trial, and at the end of each one feels like hell. Imagine not playing minion build in there. Yeah, here, end it all. Once you defeat the Volga, you enter the harder part of the acts, which is basically the same boring shit. After you've done the hard part of the acts, you enter Endgame. I quite like Endgame. It feels more lore friendly than the one in the first game, where you explore outside worlds, while in the one here you try to bring the world back in its original place. And I like the style of the maps, which are called waypoints. Waypoints have tiers which make the maps harder but give better weapons. You can expand to different parts of the map that give you certain encounters, but my problem with Endgame is, whenever you die you lose the waypoint, which is dog shit. Why have multiple portals open when it's going to disappear after you die? On top of that, you lose a big percentage of your XP. In the first game it was the same, that's why I quit, because I kept on dying and it wasn't fun anymore. I thought they would diverge from that and just make the enemies respawn, which I believed would be a great trade. I prefer to fight the enemies than losing XP, but I guess I was wrong and it's even shittier. Please fix. The lore of PoE is interesting to me. I love the lore, you have hot women, gore, violence and glory. What else do you need? I read everything and did everything in the first one, and it was top tier. The second one's lore so far is quite good. Going back to the past is an idea I can get with. Plus we have our boy back, Sin. Overall the game is fun, one of the best this year. It has more content than a AAA game, and it's in early access. These companies ain't never gonna beat the bad game allegations, but it ain't perfect as well. They need to overhaul the melee classes because they feel weak, make more gems useful, and make it more available to have more than one of the same support gem on a skill. Most of my skills don't even have a support gem because most of them are trash in my opinion, but keep in mind, I'm not the best. And guess what? If you can't buy it now, for some reason, it's going to be free in probably 6 months when the full release comes out. So you won't have a reason not to play it in the future. Would you play a game for free or pay $60 for slop? That's everything from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice day. See you in the next one.
Call anonymous. You call anonymously! They know me. They know my voice. They'll know me. Please, you gotta do it for me.